No matter what you do in your organization, it's essential that you understand the bigger picture of the business that it's in and your contribution to it. Here are a couple of definitions about business models. And in particular, I want to talk about one that I call the loop model. So strategy refers to the choice of business model, so the big picture strategic decisions through which a firm will compete in the marketplace. Remember, this applies as much to, say, government agencies as it does to businesses. We may not just use the word compete in that context. The term business model refers to the logic of the firm, the way it operates, the way it creates. This is the way that it enacts the business model. And then tactics refers to the residual choices. So these are the things that the day-by-day goals and actions that we take as employees to get things done. Now, this loop model has a fundamental logic to it. And I've got two examples here for you, both from the same organisation, Ryanair, an Irish air carrier. And this one is the whole system of how that organisation has created success and continues to operate. There's a slightly simpler version that I have here for you that we're going to use to actually piece our way through the logic of this approach. Now, there are critical things that this business focuses on. Now you probably have heard of it from some kind of reputation. It does have quite a reputation, but its absolute focus is to always offer the lowest fares, and its total goal is to achieve high profit. Now, in the airline industry, that can be incredibly challenging. So everything that this organisation does is focused on keeping fares as low as possible and making as high a profit as possible. And the loop is because then the profit that's achieved is then always cycled back to what is the way that we can make the lowest possible fares. And so there are three critical loops in this process. I'm just going to talk you through these a little. So one way to do this is to have low fixed costs. So always cheaper airports to land in, high volume aircraft, fast turns around, really tough, tight deals with the aircraft suppliers and any of the other organisations in the industry. Incredible bargaining power, that's one of the core competencies of the organisation, and high volume, always focused on having as many customers as possible. So that's one system of the loop. Now, another system of the loop then, to stick with this lowest fares and high profit, so particularly focused on high volume here, is to keep those aircraft in the air and focus on low fixed costs per customer. So keep the extras to an absolute minimum, and oh, by the way, if there are extras, we charge for them. So that's another second loop. And the third loop is low fares. It's very difficult to provide lots of frills if you have low fares. So they created a low expectation of service quality. There's no food and there's nothing for free. All variable costs. So any extras are charged for, and that also contributes to high profit if we're keeping our aircraft full and busy. So now we start to put all of these three systems together, and each of these support the others, always on this concept of low fares and high profit for the organisation. Now, Michael O'Leary really is quite a legend for being tough and mean and quite often outrageous. And his justification is this, that people love low fares and will do anything to get them. And that's his mindset and probably the way that he thinks about life more generally. Now that brings us to this concept of virtuous cycles. So how do we actually sustain and maintain that strategic model? Now, just by the way, it's not only focused on something like low fares. If you happen to be in the high quality retail industry, for example, so Louis Vuitton, White Hennessy, there you could identify their absolute virtuous cycles. It's always the most powerful brands, incredibly high quality products, and finding both those aspirational customers, but also those high net worth individuals who are prepared to pay for those, and constantly create those loops. Just a little bit of an aside for you, it's not only about low cost. So there are these three virtuous cycles. Always, however, the foundation is always the same. It's built on the concept, in the Ryanair case, of lowest fares. Large volume and low quality service expected. We have bargaining power with suppliers, high aircraft utilisation, and no meals, all of ways keeping in the line of this lowest fares. And finally, low fixed costs, low fixed cost per passenger, and variable costs. So only we have those costs if we're providing that particular service. Always, all of these coming back to lowest fares. And then this loop is continuous. So the whole point of this is, so this is what we might call the independent variable, or the driver of the business model. This is the outcome, and that's always driving back here. Always. That's the loop model that we have in place here. So that is a short explanation of this concept of virtuous cycles and creating loops in your business, be it a private business or for social good.